I thought before we continued our explorations in Savitri, will go on for many months, to take up the topic on the current world situation. As we look at the world today, there seems to be no solution to the aggression of man and his lust for power and dominance. We note North Korea's increasing efforts towards a nuclear capability that no one seems to want to stop. China is silent, Russia as well, and America. At the moment, anyway. Then we have Iran, Syria, Africa, poison gas, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, Hamas, and many more terrorist groups. I share these quotes to begin this evening from Sri Aurobindo and the Mother and Aurobindo Basu. So, 1946, 2nd June. I know that this is a time of trouble for you and everybody. It is so for the whole world. Confusion, trouble, disorder, and upset everywhere is the general state of things. The better things that are to come are preparing or growing under a veil, and the worse are prominent everywhere. The one thing to hold on to and to hold out till the hour of light. The one thing is to hold on and to hold out till the hour of light has come. 2 years later, he writes, I am afraid I can hold out but cold comfort for the present, at least to those of your correspondents who are lamenting the present state of things. Things are bad, are growing worse, and may at any time grow worst or worse than worst, if that is possible. And anything, however paradoxical, seems possible in the present perturbed world. And then we read in Savitri, a giant dance of Shiva tore the past. There was a thunder as of worlds that fall. Earth was o'errun with fire and the roar of death. Clamoring to slay a world his hunger had made. There was a clangor of destruction's wings. The Titan's battle cry was in my ears. Alarm and rumor shook the armored night. And then, in a letter, he writes, Sri Aurobindo is in no way bound by the present world's institutions or current ideas, whether in the political, social, or economic field. It is not necessary for him either to approve or disapprove of them. He does not regard either capitalism or orthodox socialism as the right solution for the world's future. Nor can he admit that the admission of private enterprise by itself makes the society capitalistic. A socialistic economy can very well admit some amount of controlled or subordinated private enterprise as an aid to its own working, or a partial convenience, without ceasing to be socialistic. Sri Aurobindo has his own view as to how far Congress economy is intended to be truly socialistic, or whether that is only a cover, but he does not care to express his view on that point at present. He had dictated this note to his secretary. Now, from the poem In the Moonlight, it comes at last, the day foreseen of old. What John in Patmos saw what Shelley dreamed, vision and vain imagination deemed. The city of delight, the age of gold, the orange age is ended. Only now, the last fierce spasm of the dying past shall shake the nations, and when that has passed, earth, washed of ills, shall raise a fairer brow. 1967, The Mother. Men, countries, continents, the choice is imperative, truth or the abyss. And I have much more, but maybe we can do that in the second session on this major topic of our time.
Actually, it's a lot depends on which side we are looking. So, first of all, this letter which Aurobindo wrote, which you referred to, was to Kishore Gandhi, and as we know, the date is 46 and 48. And if you really look at the world, it has definitely moved in a positive direction, much, much, much positive direction. The past has been torn away. There's, the giant dance of Shiva tearing the past. And the new children have begun to come. So, when I look all around, interact with people, children, I see that already that which was preparing itself behind the veil has begun to express and assert itself. And I think the future lies with these children and not with the institutions, as he has pointed out. The mistake that we make is we still rely on or wait upon the political institutions to change, governments to change, and we think that if they change, humanity will change. But it's going to be the other way around. Men will change, and therefore governments will change, and therefore politics will change, therefore institutions will change, because the fundamental change is a change within the human consciousness. Second is that, there's a very simple logic to it which I use, the logic of a simple heart rather than a complicated mind. The heart has its logic, I keep telling people, and we should look at it. And the logic is very simple that, well, if there is divine in this world, then why worry? And if there is no divine in this world, then why worry? Because if there is divine, there is hope. Divine is the hope, Tulsidas says in one of his beautiful phrases, and it applies to all of us individually and collectively. He says, Lord, if I look at myself, there will be no hope. Even he says, if you look at me with all my defects, there is no hope for me. But if you look at your own grace, then there is hope for everybody. So, if there is divine presence in the world, the stand which yoga takes and stand which those who are, blessed with a intuitive sense of the divine, those who are blessed with faith, the vision of faith, how can they not have hope? Because the fact that divine is present, his knowledge overrules our nescience, as Savitri says. It's a passage, and he says what we have to do when nothing we can see but drift and wail.
Yes.
We must just bear. We must go through it. This is a process. But trust in the divine wisdom. When Mother was asked about the Third World War and possibilities, he says, my child, now that the supermind has descended, everything that will happen will only hasten toward the supramental manifestation.
But she also writes, and I'll read, unless man's consciousness changes from his narrow, selfish, ignorant, and limited egoistic individual consciousness to an enlarged, liberated, universal, impersonal, and unitarian consciousness, which is the spiritual or divine consciousness, which sees things in their essence of unity and not in the passing phenomena of diversity, there is not much hope for the present humanity. Who knows but an immense devastation and death following a global nuclear war may be necessary to rouse the real consciousness of man so that he may change and have peace, prosperity, and harmony in life.
Yeah.
And this is to Sat Prem.
Yeah, this won't be mother. So because mother never spoke of nuclear devastation. In fact, she said the very
This
fact.
is an agenda, though.
Yeah, but this must be Satprem's or
Ah.
it's not mother. In fact, she said that if people have nuclear arsenal, there will be a tendency to use it. So she cautioned people against. She was never in favor of such devastating weapons or drastic methods. But Satprem, being the born rebel and the impatient, he was always keen that push somehow, doesn't matter, even through devastation. But she repeatedly says in the agenda that that's not the preferred way. She doesn't prefer that method. Her method is the method
Yes.
of love, and so. But having said that, there is definitely a grain of truth in it that the divine can use any means. See, look at the uh, bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In a certain sense, it did stop the World War. I mean, whether we like it or not, probably the devastation would have been a lot more. So that is one part of it. But if nuclear war in today's scenario takes place, not in 40s, it would be devastating. I mean, there is no doubt about it. And that's something which I don't think we should even. She says that don't even entertain in thoughts. And why? Because, as I said, the divine presence is there, the supramental manifestation is taking place, the children are there, lot of positive signs, and there is a very simple process in yoga which she reminds us, and I think it applies at collective level as well as individually. The same truths apply at a larger scale. She says that when she was asked how to cure evil in this world, well, what Kim Jong or God bless the others, they, what they represent. It's nothing but a certain part of human consciousness, maybe the darkest part, which is there, a little bit of that in everyone, which has taken such a form, extreme form, so that man can objectively reject it, and in doing so, he'll reject that part within himself. So I keep saying, there is a little Taliban in all of us. There is a little Kim Jong in all of us who is trying to boast and show show that I'm so powerful, I can destroy things. But what is it? It's just a child, a braggart, a brat. Of course, a dangerous brat. Brats can do a lot of harm. But the method she proposes is very interesting. She says in Raj Yoga, and she says Buddha recommended this method, that do not see evil. Now, it sounds very paradoxical because she says if people will say that, well, if I don't see evil, that means how will I cure it? She says by not looking at that side, you take away its strength. Now, in individual yoga, I have seen it so helpful. There is a phase when you are all the time watching your defects, your difficulties, your problems. We all have a dark side and difficult side, and it takes away so much energy. To start with, there is the dark side, then there is the conflict, then there is the guilt, and then there is the shame, and then there is everything which is undivine. The other side is you grow in the positive side, which is what Aurobindo says, and let the light grow. And when the light grows, darkness will have room no more. So I suppose that this is something which, at this point, the media and those involved in public life, they are not yet tuned to this fact. They're all the time looking at what's frightening. Why? Because it generates a sensation. Now, on Indian television, at least, maybe it is happening in all over the world. At least one channel. Let me not mention the channel because I don't want to advertise about channels. But there is one channel, a Hindi channel, and I think one English channel also, which started a news called Good News. And it's very nice. They come up with nice things. Beautiful things are happening into the world. Whether it be the world of innovation, whether it be the world of social barriers are being broken, whether it's the world of education. And I am personally aware of so many beautiful things happening even within India. Innovative things, unimaginable. But by and large, the news doesn't cover it. You
Yes,
put
true.
on the channel
Yes.
9 o'clock, and there is some politician who has done this. Somebody has been killed, and somebody has, Pyongyang has fired a missile, and I mean, it's it doesn't make news that I'll take this example that if I come all the way to Pondicherry, and on the road I see some dogs barking, I see some one odd child throwing stone. Now I've come and I've gone to the samadhi, and somebody asks me that what do you have to say about your journey. I'm not going to tell that, look, the dogs were barking. I mean, that's the most insignificant part of the journey. I would say, what, samadhi is so wonderful. Today someone asked me, you have been here for so many years, what do you feel about this place? Obviously with a little bit probing thing, because the person has heard this or that. I said, it's delight. I just can't imagine. I would die 100 times to be here. And all my lives I want to be here. So, then the person asked, but I heard about some conflicts and all this. I said, where you don't have conflicts? In a family, there are conflicts. Two people living together, because human ego is like that. But at the end of the day, see, again, this example of a family applies. I don't know, at least in Indian families, there are quarrels and everything, maybe every family. People live close together and they fight. But over years, when you have grown 20 years, 30 years, 40 years together, what do you remember? You remember love. Even quarrel becomes a sweet strife of love. So when when two old couple who have lived together, so one of them is a bit irritated, so the other person says, oh, you are like that, don't worry, I am getting it. Because you understand that this irritation is nothing, it's just a surface nature. Deep inside they would die for each other, there is love. I think it's important to bring out this aspect of humanity, that there is love behind all this. Now, how to bring it out? There is a larger action and there is a mini action. I think all of us at our level can contribute. Vast universal consciousness is, of course, a big thing. It's for those who are doing yoga, and it comes as a gift of grace. But I'm talking of very small things. Mother says that Sri Aurobindo was well aware of this world situation, and he has written in the letter. Now, the beauty is, when Mother and Sri Aurobindo have foreseen something, that means they have put the corrective. That's what I keep telling people, that, when people say, oh, Mother has foreseen this danger. So I say, yes, that means she has also corrected. Which mother, when she sees there is a danger, will not do the corrective? She is the divine. So she has seen and put the corrective. And then there are other writings which would be completely contrary. Like here she has spoken of, of course that is Satprem, by the way. But she has said at places that, the world is not ready. But then she has also said that, Sri Aurobindo has told, don't tell them that, they can get away with anything, because ultimately the transformation is going to be. And she is mentioning this, because he has said, so they have worked upon it. And so she says that when I discussed this with Sri Aurobindo, he said, that's why we must have Auroville. So the conception of Auroville is from long time. And then she gives the reason behind it.
Yes.
She says what is happening is nations are engaged with each other through duplicity, through hypocrisy. There are cover-ups, just like there are undercover agents. There is, a lot of cover-ups in diplomacy. Diplomacy is about that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Whereas they should be engaged in a common activity, where there is, they come together to build something beautiful. So she was very happy that, and she mentioned the same. She said Russia has come, America has come, various countries, Japan has come, France has come. All these countries have come together to build Auroville. And she said, it's a very good sign. That means on one side, while there are people engaged in hatred, engaging with each other with quarrel and hate and strife, there is another section of humanity right here which is trying to build something together. It's a challenging thing, no doubt, but was there anything worthwhile done without challenge? So this is, and then she says, it may look very small. She even says that people will laugh when I say this. Nobody believes it, that Auroville can prevent a world war and a world conflict. And I personally believe that now that the Matri Mandir is established, the soul of Auroville, there will not be a world war. There will not be a nuclear war. There will not be, and we are seeing examples of it. Look at, like, recently, as recent as 2 days back. when UN and America particularly, was siding with Pakistan, then Mother had made a very strong remarks. He said, they are, America should be converted, but it is still with the adverse forces. And when she heard the report, she said, they are supporting Pakistan? It's such a falsehood. Very strong remarks in the agenda. Such a falsehood.
Yes.
And then she said there are few things in the offing. One of them is the breakup of Pakistan. Second is Russia and America coming together. And third is conversion of the United States. Now look at, this was somewhere in, mid 60s or maybe late 60s.
Yeah.
Look at now what is happening today. 2 days back in United Nations. Now the truth of Pakistan has come out. I'm not a Pakistan hater, let me tell you. I really feel that they are my brothers. And I want them to come together. Whether it happens by splitting or whatever. And I'm not speaking right now as an Indian. I'm speaking in real world situation that the fact is today America has begun to at some place realize that look, if we really want something consolidated in the world, something beautiful, let us, come together. Let's change the axis. So the axis of Pakistan has gone.
Yes.
I see a big blunder which two of these nations have come. I used to always wonder what's going to happen about China, because this was the most unpredictable card up the sleeve of the devil, if you ask me.
Yes.
Nobody knew what's going to happen. But something very interesting happened recently again. China and India were eyeball to eyeball. Almost there was the same threat of war and nuclear war and all. Now what happened? Suddenly, inexplicably, unpredictably, now suddenly China is saying, no, we are, basically we have to work together and we want to cooperate in all regions. China has itself named some of the terror groups in Pakistan and said they are terror groups and, it's not healthy. And the reason why this is happening outwardly. How the divine turns your trump card into a cipher, a joker with no value. Look, I'm just giving one example. China built a road into Pakistan, what we all know as CPEC. Now, it didn't realize, which now probably it is realizing, by doing it, it has, both of them have endangered themselves. Because the whole road is passing through Pak-occupied Kashmir and into Balochistan, which is on the boil. Now you have put yourself into a very vulnerable position. There was no need for it. I mean, China is a strong country. It didn't need to put itself into a vulnerable position. Now when it is vulnerable, now, it knows that now so much money has gone into a space which is a very dangerous space. I mean, both these countries, both these places through Pakistan. Mm-hmm. So it is now singing a different tune altogether because it realizes that I'm in a, now a dangerous spot. They are very shrewd, very extremely intelligent people. So they know about it. So I feel, looking at even the recent events, just this 2 days back and a few months back, that there is the very challenges of life, what appeared to be devastating, will now eventually turn around and become a means for the world to come together. Look at North Korea. Aurobindo wrote his famous letter, when America was with South Korea, and Aurobindo appreciated it. In fact, somebody asked that should America intervene, and he said, yes, it's a very right thing. That I think Truman
even said if they were to leave,
yeah,
it would be a problem.
I think, was it Truman who was
yes,
president?
I think so.
And
I've
forgotten.
No.
I think it was Truman. Maybe I may be mistaken.
President.
Yeah, president.
yes.
Yeah, president. And he said he's doing a right thing, and he said that the whole affair is plain as a pikestaff. And what was the whole affair? China pushing its expansionist design using North Korea as a flag bearer.
Mm-hmm.
Now you see what has happened today. Today China is saying that it's going to cut off oil supplies to North Korea.
Yeah, this is
Now,
very
this today's news.
Yeah.
Now the point is, well, it may say and still do some backdoor thing, but at least they are beginning to admit that we don't want a world of this kind. At least, as Mother has said, hypocrisy is the first step towards change. What does hypocrisy mean? A part of us wants to be like this. But there is another part which is the resisting part, the insincere part. But at least men start paying a lip service that yes, we don't want. But look at the same China 50 years back. It was very clear, open. So it's going to be, but only thing is, as again, she said that we live a very harassed life. And why do we live a harassed life? Because we have a very brief lifespan. So we want everything to happen from the unity between Russia, India, and America to the supramental transformation in maybe 40 years or 50 years. I must see it. Well, I will see it, but not necessarily in this form. And let's enjoy the journey, and it's going to be. And so I feel just like, coming back to this issue that curing evil, don't look at that. I feel individually and collectively, we all should find ways and means of engaging into a collective action. And both individually and collectively into an action which is only to build beauty of the future. And since I'm speaking about it, let me add, these conferences which we had started, people from different places in the world come together with a center. It could be Sri Aurobindo and the mother, or a subject. And it was a very beautiful thing. And you can see that few years back, this was attacked. There was a division. You know what I am referring to.
I do.
And it was very clear to me that this was a force of division which we didn't want.
Yes.
Whereas it would have been very nice to say, कि regardless of this, we continue to build the beauty of the future. Let's come together. At least let us celebrate the new creation. Let's be together in Mother and Sri Aurobindo. So what if we are different children? We may have different views. After all, it's bound to be there. We may have even strong views, but let's come together to engage in common action, common ideas, common thoughts, common feelings. One of the processes which Sri Aurobindo had suggested long back, and I think which humanity should engage into, is cultural exchanges. When she spoke about tie between France and India, the mother gave this suggestion, cultural exchanges, so that you get acquainted with the beautiful side of each other. So there should be cultural exchanges, let's say between India and America, between India and Pakistan, between China and Japan.
And of course, she wanted the pavilions.
Yes,
in
pavilions.
Aurobindo.
You see, what was the purpose and for what reason? This is the reason where we get acquainted. And then probably if we go to the core, we'll discover, at least I can tell you, having moved around all over the world, and I feel human beings are fundamentally the same. They have the same issues, the same problems, the same difficulties, the same challenges. Only externally the expression is different. So but the issues are the same. It's just our
Yes.
external nature which is so different. And I see it here. Here we have a cosmopolitan population. So after a while, if you just get past the initial, skin color, as they say, and maybe the language, what is the difference? The same. We are the same people.
Yeah.
And so one of the things which is going to help is again this cross-country intercontinental travels. So we have on one side the intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, but we also have intercontinental travels nowadays for whatever reason, and they are helping humanity to understand each other and come together. There was a time, we should not forget, when one kingdom fought against another. Why? Because the language was different. Now you discover that, issues are same. So I think stress should be on the positive things, and there are lots and lots of them. Probably, it's a subject in its own right. Lots of things which are happening. And let's put all of ourselves into that, in whatever little way. And individually, for example, if I feel in thoughts and feelings, about somebody just because someone is belonging to another nation or another language, let me get past that barrier. I keep telling, when I used to travel and people would often ask in train, so sir, where are you from? In India, we have more states that, so I would say I am from India. No, that's okay, but where are you from? I say India. No sir, what language you speak? I said, wherever I go, I have to learn, but I have lived in so many places. So let's start feeling in our consciousness as world citizens. And we have, children today, I see many of these ex-students. My own child, he is conversant with Hindu mythologies. He loves Spain. If he has a choice to settle down, he may choose England. He loves pizza and he also likes rajma. So it's difficult to say what he is, and it's very nice. So that barriers and boundaries, they don't understand many of these children about nationalism. Now, it's very difficult for them to understand nation is one of the steps of the Lord. You don't have to abolish nationalism for internationalism. In fact, nations have to come together and build something together.
Because they all have something
unique
to offer.
Exactly. So that is the other part of the discussion. But you see, today's children, they are not comfortable with the nationalistic idea. And for this reason, because they live in a wider consciousness. So this idea that, this nation, patriotic sentiments, is, they don't feel the way, maybe a generation before them felt. These are very good signs.
I have two brief stories.
But this one, I must say, this is with many riders. I have not spoken about, nationalism and internationalism. It's a very interesting discussion. Because today we see a wave of nationalism on one side, right from Japan to America. What is called, unfortunately, as right wing, which I don't subscribe to that thought, right wing, left wing.
Yes.
There's a whole matrix, and you can't slot humanity just into that. At the same time, on the other hand, there was an overriding umbrella of internationalism. Now these two have come together and they have to find the right harmony, just like an individual and the society. You can't abolish the individual and have a society, because it will be destructive. You can't have only individuality and not society, otherwise it will be chaotic. So you need both. So you need nationalism, and you need internationalism. This is the challenge we are facing, and we'll get past it. So you see Brexit, or you see, certain declarations of the American president. We must understand it in a certain background and the lines of forces towards which the future is advancing. We should not start with, knee-jerk reactions that this is good, this is bad. Well, for the moment, this is how humanity feels, because it doesn't know the balance. If you swing on one side, internationalism, there is a fair chance that many nationalities with their own uniqueness will be wiped out. So they won't be able to bring out their best into the play. So it's dangerous. Equally, if you swing excessively in the side of nationalism, you can have a titanic and aggressive nationalism. But there is a godlike nationalism, a healthy nationalism, which does not negate or cancel internationalism, but harmoniously fuses the two. And just wait for maybe 10 or 20 years and you'll see it emerging.
I'd like to close with two experiences and a sentence from Mother. Sri Aurobindo always gives us hope. The Iron Age prepares the age of gold, he said. His portrayal of the present and the future is both luminous and crystalline.
Wow, wonderful. So that's the hope.
Now, these are two brief stories about children 2 years of age in whom I have seen the new child, the Sunite children. I won't mention names. First one, I'm at this conference, and this little one, 2 years old, is playing with me on the floor. And I roll the little truck back, and then it gains the power and comes forward to her. And she loves it and gives it to me to do it again and again. 20 minutes goes on. I'm getting a little tired. So I go to lean down, just to lie down for a minute. She says, "Sit up. Don't lie down." 2 years old. The next one at my house, There's a long staircase that goes down. There's a platform and another staircase. So I show this little one, she's 2. You hold on to the rail and go down slowly, carefully, go to the platform, then hold this railing and go down. She does it the first day, she does it the second day, and the third day she looks me in the eye and walks down without holding the railing.
Yeah,
They have
they
they have
that's
a new
true.
consciousness.
Plenty of them. Plenty of them.
Yeah.
I see them all around. Plenty of them. They have come to teach us
Yes.
in the real sense. So
Well, we'll continue on
Yes.
Friday
yes.
at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Good. Thank you.
Okay.